Welcome to the On Empire. I'm Mark Arnold, and in this episode, we're going to have a crack at throwing a bunch of strength at this otherwise piss-weak diff. Okay, so this is a diff out of a UC Torana. These are known as a small Salisbury, also known to be made of glass. Pretty much one of the weakest links on these cars. So we're going to correct all that by throwing in a brand new TrueTrack center. I've never done any of this stuff before, so we're going to learn together. Don't worry if you're not a Torana guy, because what we're going to do on this diff is pretty well universal, and it could be handy if you're looking at doing a similar upgrade in your car. But wait, there's more. I also shortened this diff housing, and I moved the rear shocker location so we can make the most of the mini tubs that we've already done on this car. And to top it all off, we're going to be throwing a brand new set of 28 spline billet axles, so this thing will never blow up. We're never going to have 450 horsepower. What this thing is capable of, this thing ain't never going to get it. Not out of a 253 anyway. Okay guys, so we are in this shed. It is a bit of a chilly winter's night and it's a Saturday. And what you do as a couple on a Saturday is not sit on your phone and scroll on TikTok or Instagram or watch a movie. You get out in the shed and you shorten the diff for the Torana. And I've been procrastinating for probably a year or more about what we're going to do here. And I finally come up with a game plan. Now you might see this diff is a little lopsided because I've already started, but I've only done that so I can make sure that my plan is going to work. Still not quite sure, but we're working through it. Then we're going to show you guys how the hell I'm going to tackle this. Now, of course, there are a billion different ways to shorten a diff housing, and some are obviously more complex than others, some are better than others, some are more expensive than others, and I've picked the most cost-effective, time-effective, blah, 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 of what I want to do with this diff. I have done one diff housing like this many years ago with a friend, and it seemed to work really well. So this is the plan. No, that's going to make a liar out of me. 0.2. You literally can just, like, if I put it around here, it's at 0.1. 0.1. Okay, anyway. Okay, so first thing we had to do is find a bit of a baseline of where this thing is so we can basically make sure that the ends come off and then go back exactly the right position, all bar a little bit further in. So we've got this digital angle finder set up at this position right here. It is showing exactly 0.1 degree from level, so we'll call that freaking level. Over here it's showing 0.2, but you get the gist of it. It is super accurate. So basically what I've done is, before I've lopped this off, pretend this is still in place like the other side is, I've set this at 0 degrees, taken the angle reader off, put it on the side, which showed exactly 90 degrees, and then I've turned the diff housing, because this only works that way. I've then turned that there and then turned the diff housing upward, and it showed 90 degrees yet again. So if that is clear enough to understand, that's how I worked out that the diff before I touched it was bang on. So basically, as long as I can put that back to bang on, which it is set up to do so right now, then we're going to be in business. Okay, so before we go any further, I'll show you how I went about cutting this down, because I wanted to try and get the truest cut I could with the tools that I have. Okay, so the way I chose to cut this housing down, rather than just marking it and hitting it with an angle grinder and hoping for the best, I don't have a drop saw that could really level this thing up properly. I thought, why don't we use a pipe cutter, because these things, once they are clamped down, they run 100% true. Like, they cannot be incorrect, because it just finds its groove and it keeps cutting until you're through. So I picked this thing up off of Marketplace for like 40 or 50 bucks. It's like an old school rigid pipe cutter, and this thing looks like it's done plenty of work, and it done the job perfectly. I'll show you guys on the next end, and I was absolutely stoked. So basically wind him up, spin it around until you cut through. It probably took about 40, 50 spins, but she got through. It did mash the wheel a little bit, but we got through, no worries. One thing I had to do before I attacked this housing with the pipe cutter was to cut the lower shock bracket off of this housing. Now this shock bracket, I'm planning on moving inboard anyhow, so I can get some more clearance with the tire. So this is a 2 birds with 1 stone scenario. So basically I cut straight through that housing in half, and then we're going to short him up. And this bracket also doubles as the lower link bracket. So anyway, okay, so next thing I done was got a sleeve made to slip into this housing so that I had a bit of extra security. Slip that in. I'm then going to plug weld it and seam weld it. I've beveled these edges ready to go. Unfortunately, I don't have the lathe set up here, so I've outsourced that. Aside from that, it's the only thing I've had to get outsourced. Everything else should hopefully be in-house. That sleeve is currently chilling in the freezer, so we can shrink that down. We're going to heat this housing up because I've got this as a real nice snug fit. We're going to heat this housing up and then slip it in. Once it all cools back down to room temperature, that should be pretty tight. Okay, so what we're going to do is heat up this housing a little bit, which will expand the metal. Meanwhile, that sleeve that we've got is in the freezer. That will shrink the metal. And if all goes to plan, it'll fit without hammering it too much. I'm pretty much expecting to have to hammer as well. There was a seam down the length of this axle tube that I had to sort of die grind out, so it's not like perfectly round. It's a little bit wobbly in there, but we'll make it work. You just get the missus to brush all the dog hair off you while you're doing this. It's a hot tip. Have a bloody hammer. Oh, should have got the hammer. All right. Hopefully I didn't damage that end. Probably went in a little bit far, but oh no, that should be right. Sweet. All right, that went really well. Where's the other one? Okay, so here is the sleeve that I've had machined up by a buddy of mine. This is super simple. It's about a 5mm wall thick. I've had it machined at exactly 61.9mm, which is what essentially the inside of this is. It would probably have hammered in there anyway, but as you've seen, it did actually take a fair bit to get in there, but that's going to be not, that is snug, like that is super. That's good. I'm really, really happy with that. I've also gone around and drilled 4 holes in that end and this end. I can plug weld that, and then I can seam weld it, and it is going to be absolutely plenty strong. The reason I went this route is because this is the simplest way that I could outsource a simple bit of machining without buying new ends and having to, basically I've done this way before, and this is the way I wanted to go. So that's why I've done it. You want to do it different? That's all good. But we're all good. That's now heated up, and that's in there. That's not moving. This one here will now hopefully just knock on. I can, I've obviously marked it as well, so I got the indicator, so it's dialed in, and it's going to be good. Now, do I plug weld that first? Probably should. Okay, so I'm going to get this first half of the sleeve plug welded in place so that when I knock this end on, I don't slide it in the pipe and get stuck. Might move the gas. This is the part where you move anything flammable, or you put a flammable rag over the flammable oil in the tub. That could have done with a bit more heat. Need a bit more wire speed. All right. So now we're just trying to get this end cool that I've welded with a wet rag, and then we're going to heat this other end up. Try and expand that. Oh, look at how much it slips on now. The heat makes a massive difference. Unreal. It's science, people. Science!
It's science, people! Science!
So after playing around for ages, we've got 0.1 degree that way. And we have, what do we have? Every time you put it down, it's slightly different. Well, I've got bang on 90 there. If you turn it slightly, you can get 89.9. So we're going to call that pretty bloody good. And then, of course, when we turn it around this way to check the up and down, was we just got the sideways exactly, or 0.1 that way, and I'm 2 off that way. So we're right within a bee's dick. So I reckon we can start banging some plug welds, do a couple more checks, and then wire up. And always put your measuring tools away in their little boxes. I've seen people mention to weld this whole loop in one hit. So that's going to be challenging, but I'll give it a crack. I'm going to have to get Andrea to roll it and see how we go. All right, you want to come around here, love? All right. Roll. That's not slower. Fuck yeah. Slower. Stop. Roll. Keep going. Okay. Yep, that's fail. Well, I failed at doing it one hit, that's for sure. But it's definitely not going to let go. Did you look at it?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
You're not meant.
It makes your eye funny, hey?
You're not meant to look at it. You get welding flash. How long did you look at it for?
Oh, just, I don't know, just a couple of times.
Oh, jeez. Don't look at it.
I was trying not to.
You'll be cursing me if you get weld flash. Arc eye, no good. Your eyes feel like they've got sand in them all night and you can't escape it. you end up with bloody potatoes on your bloody eyes, or cucumbers. Okay, so I absolutely failed at welding that all in one hit. I sort of ended up rushing it a little bit, and I probably should have come up with a different plan, but overall, I think it's pretty good. I've laid a monstrous bead on there. It pretty much filled up that valley all in one hit. There might be a few little spots I might have to touch up, but overall, I'm pretty confident that is going to be solid as a rock. Okay, now it's the next morning. We've got this thing outside. I don't like to sort of do too much grinding in there, try to keep the grinding dust out here. We're going to clean up these big ugly welds. Now, I'm not too concerned about taking a lot of the meat off the top of these welds because I did so much of a cavity for that weld to bury in, plus that sleeve inside. We can grind this thing down smooth and we are not going to impact the structural integrity. That's what I'm going with anyway. Okay, so I've been out here linishing this all up. Needs still a little bit more of a tidy up to do, but we're pretty close. I'm confident as anything with the straightness and the strength of that. Like I said, that big, it's fine. Now it's a matter of moving this shocker mount inboard. We're going to gain about another 30 mil by moving the shocker in a little bit. So basically, if you come around here, you'll see. So you see here the factory one before it's been cut. The bar runs right through. It's about yay thick. I've gone to this side here. I've cut it down from being over here. I've cut the back piece out and I'll slide it inboard and simply narrowing it up that way. So I'm going to tack this all in place now and then connect the dots by putting a strip down there. And then, yeah, that'll overcome that issue. I'll put the piece in and I'll weld it all up. Okay, so it's been a few weeks. Gonna have another crack at this diff. Got the housing this end pretty much sorted up. You've seen how I basically put it all together. The bracket for the shock mount is now been modified, so I've gained about 35 mil in the back here. And now I'm going to show you how I actually shortened this housing. So I spoke a little bit earlier about using a pipe cutter. So I picked up this old rigid pipe cutter, and this thing looks like it's been through the wars, but this is basically how I done it. This diff housing is like 4 mil thick, maybe even 5. It's pretty burly, and sorry, the diff's not that burly, but the diff housing is pretty thick. So this is basically how I chose to cut it down. So the wheel that I've got on this thing is pretty smashed now because I'm cutting through mild steel. I'm not sure. I think this might be designed for maybe cutting copper, but it's doing the job. So we just keep going. It takes about 50 rotations. But the good thing about this way is that it is 100% true. With the wheel width there, it basically cutting around a circle, you can't lose angle. got Winnie hair all over my face. So yeah, we just basically keep going around, tighten up a little bit, keep going around, and in about 5 minutes we'll be through. We missed the end of that, so it was taking ages. I ended up sharpening up this little wheel. It's totally knackered. I need to get a new wheel for it, but you can see the thickness of the pipe, and it just gets there. So I love this method. It is dead true. I've never seen it before. I'm genius. I come up with it myself. I'm sure it's been done before, and I'm sure there's a billion different ways to do it, and maybe better ones, but this is what I'm going with. All I need to do now is cut that down by, I think, 20 mil, 25 mil, can't remember. I've got the measurement in there. Shorten them up, and once this side's welded, we can start doing some fun stuff like putting the center in this thing. Something I've never done before, but I'm gonna have a crack, and hopefully before too long, we'll have 2-wheel peel and billet axles. This thing is gonna be good to go. All right, so I accidentally cut the wrong end. I should have cut the furthest end off first and then left the off-cut piece on the diff housing, so I didn't put a clamp in the vise, which I haven't mounted properly yet. But we're getting through it. We've got all sorts happening tonight. Got that happening there. Got my little electroplating kit happening over here. Electroplating some bolts. I'm going to show you guys this in an upcoming episode, but that was a rusty bolt. Now looking like brand new. Got Andrea over here working on the dart, doing the engine bay up on this. This thing is going to come up mint. We're going to keep this thing as a patina look, but we're clear coating the engine bay in satin clear. We're going to do all brand new matte black parts, satin black parts, and cast iron 2-pack the whole front end, electroplating the whole front end. It's going to look like a resto without being new paint, if that makes sense. Yeah, anyway, the Torana Diff, getting into it. One end's done. This end, as you guys seen, we locked the end off. I've now beveled that edge, and now, yeah, getting the end ready to go. I've got the sleeve in the freezer, getting cold, so we can knock that in. Nice snug fit, put the new end on, get it all lined up, and hopefully have that maybe even welded on tonight, so we can continue on with the install of the TrueTrack, which has arrived in the mail. We've got brand new TrueTrack and 28 spline billet axles. So this thing is going to be bulletproof. All right, so another night in the shed, working on the diff. Finally got the other side welded up. As you can see, it's ugly as sin. I shouldn't have shown you that. It's terrible. I actually welded that upside down and it made a mess. That side welded up and it came out absolutely spot on. I used my dial indicator there. Dial indicator? My angle finder, digital angle finder, and it is like 0, absolutely spot on. I'm absolutely stoked with how square these end flanges came up once I've narrowed these axles, the axle tubes, I should say. So absolutely pumped with that. I now have a bunch of parts here. There's about $2,500 worth of parts right there in 2 28 spline billet axles and 1 TrueTrack to suit a small Salisbury in the UC Torana. Now, I was schooled by everyone in the comments the last time I spoke about this car. It is not a banjo diff. The banjos were in the earlier Toranas and HKGT. And then from then on, it was Salisbury. Now, these were a smaller Salisbury style diff in the Torana. So totally unique. And there seems to be only one place you can find these TrueTracks. So I've managed to get a hold of those. Here are the little pieces that come out of the axle. Can't actually remember. It's 25 mil, 20 mil. It is 25 mil either side. So not a massive amount, but with the tubs that we've got in the Torana now, I should be able to fit probably another 40 to 50 mil worth of beef under the back of this thing. Once again, not huge, but the Toranas are obviously always pretty small cars, and a meaty tyre, maybe 245, 255, with a ton of clearance and a bunch of lowness is going to be really good. So you can get bigger meats under the back of them, but the cars usually are jacked up. Anyway, getting off topic. We got a bunch of parts here. I have now pulled the center out of here. I didn't show any of that because it's pretty boring stuff. Just basically unbolt everything. I have labeled everything very fanatically. The shims either side, there's 2 of them. The caps, even the bolts, even though that doesn't matter, I've just labeled them all right and left. I'm going to go around and actually stamp them as well. So once I run through the parts washer, that everything is stamped and I know 100% that right from left, nothing can change. And then what we're going to do is get the crown wheel off right here. So I've cleaned up this crown wheel. This is a factory 308 crown wheel. The pinion is still in place. I'm going to now mock this up on the new TrueTrack and slip it in just as a bit of a dummy fit, make sure everything sort of fits relatively simply. And then I'm going to go through the procedure on how to set up a rear end. I'm not going to go through that with you guys because it is so in-depth. I'm actually not sure how I'm going to handle this because it is pretty involved to make sure you get everything set up right in the way of backlash and, you know, setting the pinion depth and all that sort of stuff. So I have a lot of research to do, but I thought I'll show everyone where I'm at and we'll be updated as I progress. All right, guys, so we are finally getting to the pointy end of this build. I am absolutely stoked on how this thing is turning out. As you can see in there, looking all mint. I've marked everything, so I know that everything's been torqued up to spec. It's all clean, it's neat, it's painted. It's absolutely awesome. I'm freaking stoked on the detail that's come, and I'm really confident with the fitment. I ended up with like 10th hour backlash. I did learn a lot, but there's a hell of a lot more to have learned if I needed to make corrections, which I fortunately didn't have to do. If I had to set pinion depths or offset the center to mesh the gears better, I would have had to do a hell of a lot more learning. But fortunately, everything went in like butter and everything lined up beautifully and measured up perfect. So it's now down to the detailing. I've obviously painted this in a 2-pack. I've painted the rear cover in the cast iron, also in 2-pack, and freshly anodized bolts. I've got the rest over there drying, and this is going to go back. I'm super proud of the detail on this thing. It's going to look freaking amazing. The last thing I forgot about though is drum backing plates. So we're running the original drum brakes in this. The brakes on the car are in good shape, but I don't want to have to disassemble that diff before putting this one in. So I'm going to pinch the backing plates off of this one that came on it. They need a lot of cleaning up. So I'm going to paint them all up today, put them on, and then slip everything back in, and we are going to be good to go. Let's go and cut some axles down so they actually fit in this housing. All right, ready to roll. Winnie's going to shit herself. Ugh, no power. Fucking rookie. Oh, no, it is. It's fine. Nice. There it is, 25 mil down. Let's clean these up with the flap disc. And yeah, they'll be ready to go in. Okay, so we are finally ready to go. We've been going hammer and tong. Even had Andrea over here cleaning up the brake drums to go on, and man, it has been an absolute mission. But I've finally got everything set up, so hopefully this final install will just go together as quick as anything. We're going to throw in some Penrite, yeah. So this is the gear oil. We've been recommended by the manufacturer. It's a mineral oil, non-synthetic, and it is hard to get into. It is a 90 to 140 weight. 85, 140. It's going to take the whole lot, and man, it is not what I thought it was going to be. Looks like bloody dish detergent. This is 2.5 full bottle, but it's nearly full, so that's going to be fine. We'll leave a little bit. Okay, so I've got the back all ready to go on. So I've RTV or grey siliconed one side, and then I've done some, is that working? I've greased the other side. So this is so we can get the cover back on and off without it sticking and ripping the thing to shreds. So yeah, this is a trick I learned from Steve Dulcich. So he silicons one side of his gaskets and then greases the other side. So the gasket obviously does its job, but then you can get it back on without ripping things to shreds. And he's really fussy with his mechanical like details, sort of like what I'm trying to be. So yeah, I'll take his advice. Now I've got these original bolts going back in, all freshly anodized. I'm so stoked. I can't wait to show you guys the anodizing kit that I've got. It just brings the level of detail just to, yeah, it's a whole new level of detail because this is looking freaking amazing. Like, if nothing else, if the diff fails, at least it looks really good. I mean, a diff shop isn't even going to go to this level. Maybe they do. Better not knock them because they, at least they know how to build a diff. And I actually don't know what I'm doing, but this shit freaks me out. I'm gonna go across like a wheel. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but oh, there it is. All right, so run these down to 35 foot-pound. As you can see, I'm trying to be as fussy as I can to try and eliminate any issues. And I guess it's the only way I'm really ever gonna learn this stuff is if I just jump in and have a crack. So don't cut corners. Wait till I kind of know what I'm doing, till I can just decide when I can cut corners. All right, sweet, done. Let's hopefully it doesn't leak now that we've swung it back around. Look at that, I am pumped. This is looking so good. So all sealed up, all torqued up, beautiful. Now backing plates. All right, backing plates go on before the axles slide in. Now this is where we had to draw the line somewhere. The brake assembly, I've just left it as it come off the car. The backing plates that actually come off this diff were different, and I started cleaning them up, and luckily they were in really bad shape because they're totally different brake setup. I don't know how that managed to happen, but obviously they swapped at some stage. So I ended up having to disassemble the brakes off the Torana and put them on. So these will have to get detailed at another stage. They're pretty much due for shoes, but for now we just cleaned them up and 2-packed them, and now we're going to finish this freaking diff. Once again, they're the specific backing plate bolts, all freshly anodized, electroplated. Okay, so here's our 28 spline axles, and this here is the factory axle. You can see the thickness. Well, hopefully you can see the thickness. It's, I'm not sure what they are, 23 or 25 spline. That probably theirs lucky to be 25 mil. This one here is pushing 32, 35 mil. So this is definitely not going to be the weak link to this diff. This is where this will last forever. Another thing I've done is I've painted the ends. These always look beautiful when you get them out the packet, but as we know, once you put them on the car, if you ever service the car down the track, they'll all be rusty because they're just raw metal. Obviously the axle's fine because it's sitting inside the tube full of oil, but externally for 10 minutes worth of work, you may as well just paint the parts, and then it's going to look good for years to come. So I'm finally torquing these down to spec, which is meant to be 35 foot-pound, but of course I need a smaller torque wrench, but let's be honest, we just tighten them up and then they're tight. They're good to go. I'm happy with that. And we're all done. She's pretty bloody firm. Apparently it's okay. I've been on to the phone with the manufacturer a few times over this build, and he's been super helpful and basically guided me to make sure that I haven't done anything wrong, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. So axles are in, everything's up tight, everything else is all sweet. I'm glad that it's right because I shouldn't have put the oil in first. I should have done that at the last. But the good news is it is not leaking. It's just dry as a bone. New pinion seal, as you guys know, everything's been electroplated, not anodized, like I said earlier. Cast iron drums, as usual. Hopefully the brakes haven't.
You're literally flicking black fluid everywhere.
Wicked. Love that. And I didn't paint that side of the backing, so you can't quite see it. Of course you can. Oh man. Brake fluid, man, it's the worst. Nice, that one goes on.
Perfect.
Makes me look almost professional. Okay, so we've wrapped up this TrueTrack diff. Man, there's so much that's gone on here, and this has been a lot of work. I mean, I understand that I've been learning on the job, plus I've been doing some pretty decent modifications, I'd say, especially for a first timer. So we've ended up with, once again, this is the factory small Salisbury out of a UC Torana. This is the same diff that would basically run in all the third generation Toranas like LH, LX, UC, the same style. And basically we've ended up with shortening the axles and axle housing by 25 mil, which is going to make use of the tubs that we've done in this car. We'll deal with some tyre fitment later. We have no idea at this stage. Moving the shocker mounts as well. Then we run the brand new TrueTrack center with the factory 308 gears. Now this is from Sydney Competition Warehouse, and they're the only people that do a TrueTrack center for these. There's no other option. So we've gone down that route, and I've got to tell you, the fella there has been super handy. He's guided me through this whole build. I've been on the phone quite a few times with him to make sure I've been doing everything right. And yeah, I can't really say much more about that. He's been super helpful. So if you want to do this conversion as well, definitely look down that path, because this is a better option, in my opinion, than swapping to a different diff, because a 9-inch is really overkill for the motor and combo we have. A ball warner, if you want to swap that way, you have to change all your control, your mounts, everything. You got to deal with different, you know, brakes and axle and your bloody stud pattern. There's just so much. So to retain the factory diff in this car, in my opinion, is super handy. And obviously we've now got the 28 spline axles. This thing is going to be absolutely bulletproof. So apparently this center and axles should be good for around 450 motor horsepower, which is never going to have this car. This is going to be pretty mild. So once again, as you see, everything has been 2-packed. We went the black here. We're doing the cast iron on the drums and the backing plate, the electroplated bolts. I'm super stoked on this. I'll show you guys a video on that coming up really soon. I really wanted to go to the next level when it comes to mechanical detailing, and hopefully the inside works just as good as the outside looks. You'll see all of that in an upcoming episode of the Iron Empire, where we throw this thing in the Torana, play with some tire sizes, and hopefully we'll have some 2-wheel peel. As usual, guys, remember, we have the online store. We have plenty of Judge t-shirts, also available in hoodies for winter, and the most popular Hurst shifter tees and hoodies available as well. Jump on, check out the online store, support the channel if you want. If not, like, subscribe, it's all free, and come back next time for more car things. Cheers, guys.